Good evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJNTV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by Electra Voice, DJ Event Planner, DJ Trivia, Odyssey Innovative Designs and Cases, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJNTV Insiders.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Hey, good evening and welcome out to DJNTV tonight. And some of you are watching out on PBNTV because tonight's topic isn't just for DJs. We're going to be getting into something that's going to be good for any small business owner, especially with some of the situations that are going on right now in the world. I've got to get back to my default view on YouTube here. So tonight we're broadcasting, of course, to a lot of different channels. If you've got any questions or anything that you guys would like to ask, please put those down into the chat, and I'll be getting to those and sharing those with our presenter tonight. Alan Walker is with me tonight. Alan, good evening.
Good evening, John. I appreciate you having me today, and I hope everybody's hanging in there out there in this world tonight.
Hanging in and being safe. I think they're probably the biggest things.
That's right. Being safe, being healthy.
Yeah, that's for sure. For those of you who are looking at tonight's topic and you're like, leadership, what does that matter in my business? A lot. And the thing is this is one of those areas that when you're not aware of the ramifications of having leadership skills, you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what your business could be like. And when Alan mentioned he wanted to talk about this, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I was like, woohoo, because this is this area that I spent a lot of time teaching and working on throughout the 2000s, the mid-2000s, early 2000s. So, Alan, when you said you wanted to talk about this tonight, I was so excited.
That's great to hear because, you know, my experience I was sharing with you earlier in the corporate world. I was in the corporate world, and the good old collapse of 2008 hit and really kind of put me in a tailspin, and I kind of reinvented myself, and that's how I ended up in the music industry. And something I've always wanted to do is I always wanted to help other people through growing and self-improvements, self-awareness, those type things. So when I had the opportunity to become a certified trainer, speaker, coach through John Maxwell, I finally had a time in my life when I could do that. And I've spent a good year now just studying the products and studying and using and talking with folks. And so I want to bring that to the music industry, to the DJ industry. I just really believe that there are some of the most talented people that I've ever met inside the DJ industry. They figure out their own technology. They figure out some social media. They figure out their own lighting. So you've got a lot of great brain power in our group. And so I felt like some of the things that might be missing is some leadership of where do I leave the music industry when my days are, becoming coming short, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. As we leave, where is that mark? Where is that? Shoot. The word's just slipping. That your legacy. There we go.
Yeah,
The legacy with the
I feel like I lose words all the time, so don't worry about
it's
that.
like it was right there. I had the word in front of me. So for those of you who are not aware, what Alan's going to be digging into is some of the leadership philosophies and thoughts from the John Maxwell Institute, I believe, or I'm not sure exactly but John Maxwell is a leadership guru, talks to Fortune 500 companies. He coaches, he does all these different things. If you haven't heard of him, there's probably a rock that you need to move off your head because you've been living under it way too long. But he's got a lot of great information out there, hundreds of different books and writings that he's done. We use some of John's writings in the Disc Jockey News every month. And also in the description below, there's two links. There's the link that will be to Alan's page, and you can check that out. And there's a second link that takes you out and it's an Amazon link, so you guys can go out there and you can look at all of the different books and such that John has, because he has a lot of books out there. And Alan's going to be referring to some different ones as he goes through and digs into our topic tonight. So,
all right, great.
Alan, what are you going to take us through and such, and let's dive into it.
Well, like you were talking about John Maxwell, he's written over 100 different books, 20, and has 26 million copies that have been printed. So he's worldwide. His team, as which I'm a member of, we're all over, I believe, in about 150 countries now. So he's making differences in countries. So what he writes and how he speaks is touching lives.
It is.
And I want to be a part of that. I think it's great. So a little bit about what we're going to touch on today is the 15 invaluable laws of growth. Most importantly, and when you find in a leader, is someone who believes that if you're not growing, then your leadership skills are going to be diminished. Mm-hmm. I had a situation a few years back where I was doing a wedding for a realtor, and he was a young guy and kind of cocky, and he was doing well. Times were good. And he came in and we met and we talked and we agreed, on the packages that he wanted to go with. And so as he was leaving that day, he said something to me that has stuck in my head from that day on. And I think of it every day. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yes.
And that doesn't just mean business-wise. That means you as a person inside. You can only change and grow what's outside of you by changing and growing what's inside of you first. What happens is once we make those changes on the inside, subconsciously we start practicing those changes on the outside. In our dealings with people, in our dealings with our, if we're a multi-op or if we have employees, however you operate, with other vendors, with all facets of life, even with your servers at a table when you're out for dinner. So I know I keep moving back and forth. Is that messing up the camera?
No, we're good. I think we're okay.
So I think the two laws that I want to talk about today couldn't have come at a better time. As I was kind of just glancing through them, there's some important things that I want to cover. First is hard times, bad experiences. I would say that nobody looks forward to a bad experience. Nobody loves it. Nobody likes it. I would hope nobody says, "Oh, great, a bad experience. Here I go. I'm going to get to grow." So we'd like to avoid those things. But with change, so something to think about. Learn to manage your bad experiences well. We're in the middle of a horrible experience, but it's not so much going through the experience that makes a difference. It's how you manage yourself going through that. What are we going to learn from this bad experience that is going to help make us a better leader, a better person, a better DJ? What can we change and what can we do to make that better? One thing about coming out on the right side of a tough situation is it gives you some war stories that you can share with folks. That you can say, look, when we went through this is what we did. This is how we survived. I can tell you on our side, with my DJs, they're panicked right now.
Yeah, certainly.
And so I've taken the philosophy of just kind of sitting back, being calm, because the number one thing is if you let your mind take over and you can think of a million scenarios of why you're not going to get through the situation. We are going to get through it. You get through it, pray to God nobody on here becomes sick or has family that is sick from this. But on the other side of this slope that they've been talking about, we're all going to keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you take the should haves, the would haves, and the could haves with dealing with, with bad experiences. I'm just looking at a couple of my notes here.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch about. One of the laws that we were talking about today was the law of pain. And as I said, love and bad experiences, nobody loves them, likes them, wants to go through them. Something that John McDonald, and John talks about this in his teaching. John McDonald, in his chapter on the law of pain, says that every problem introduces a person to himself. And I don't know about you. We were talking a little bit before the show. We were looking at, you've got your wife's newspaper, and you've got your hand in several different things as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've been able, and you've been busy taking care of kids. I know you told me you had some schooling and things, but you really get a sense, at least I have, to stop and think about, how am I going to handle this? How am I going to see my team through this entire process? And so, luckily or unluckily, as the leaders, we have to be the ones to keep everybody at a level head and say, this is painful, but this is going to make us better on the other side.
And I think you mentioned, of course, keeping them on a level head. I think, though, that starts by us as the leader, or us as the figurehead of whatever, is to be able to keep that level head, that calm nature. Yes, there's bad things going on, but I think where you're headed to with the pain and the opportunity that it gives us, we have to understand the opportunity that is in front of us in situations like this.
Right. Sadly, we talked about this. There could be concerns. People might be downsizing, but I really believe people are going to continue to get married. Hopefully the stimulus thing will help financially, help people at least get back onto a somewhat solid footing. And, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But in the meantime, improving ourselves is going to improve our overall outlook. It's going to improve our overall business acumen. It's going to improve. The bottom line is that, the law of pain, everybody has experiences. We can't avoid them. Some people try to run from them. Some people do whatever little bit they can to deal with them. They just crawl into a hole, and sometimes people react too quickly. I've got some guys that I know, we're trying to help them out, and they're wanting to do the DJing online and those type things. And I have to tell them, like, hey, just stay cool for a while. Mm-hmm. We're going to get through this. But I think it's that thought of, I have to do something now. I have to do something now. And sometimes not doing something is the best thing you can do. Oh,
certainly.
In this situation. But you can stop and say, what can I do to improve me? Mm-hmm. So improve yourself. And if you've got a lot of time on your hands and you want to improve your DJing skills, practice that too. But sadly, we put a lot of money into our equipment. We put a lot of money into our advertising. We put a lot of money into lights. Our play toys, DJs, we love our play toys, and I'm guilty as the next. But at some point, you've got to invest in yourself. And I think that is something that everybody, and I'm glad you put that link down for the books. I think that's going to help people tremendously and really give them a sense of how the insight to look within and say, okay, what can I do, or what do I need to do to improve my leadership skills, or even just my human being skills.
Right.
Just being a better human being. One thing that I've practiced since we started our business is, my goal is, and my thought in my brain is, I love everybody. And sometimes that gets very hard. But that's how I try to approach everyone that I can. And that gives me empathy then. I can relate to that person. I can feel what they're feeling. Sometimes it's not about price. Sometimes it is about price with a client. Sometimes it's more about something they've experienced that gave them a bad outlook on hiring a DJ, and they're scared to death. They don't know how to hire a good DJ. So a lot of times when you can learn from within about yourself, you can relate that with other people, and then they can see the empathy. Then they will open up the story for you on what helps them make the decision for their DJ. So that's what I've kind of done, and used through the years. The last group in pain management or dealing with pain is those who embrace. These are your leaders. They're going to embrace things as they come. We choose to learn from difficult and challenging experiences. I remember one of the first times I spoke after getting my training. I got there and I basically just froze up. Couldn't remember anything.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think somebody that speaks in front of people all the time that would happen. But luckily for me, I was told a story and it brought me kind of back to where I needed to be, and I was able to move forward. But at that moment, I seized that pain. I seized that embarrassment, got through it, and then kept moving forward. And things have been really good since then. Thinking about some of the types of pains that we face in life and that we're kind of dealing with right now, we have, and I know, especially in the DJ world, this is a strong one, pain of incompetence. Sometimes we feel, or we tell ourselves, well, I'm only worth $700. I'm only worth $700 a DJ in my area, that type of thing. And I think getting through that and becoming a leader, and if you don't feel you're worth more, then what do you need to do to change that? Mm-hmm. Is it something with inside you, or is it something that you're providing to the client that is not a good purchase? The pain of financial loss. People fear that and I'm sure we're all right there right now. You've worked hard most of your life. I can tell you that I have worked and put many blood, sweat, and tears into my business over the last 12 to 15 years. And we were cooking. Things were going really well. And I'm sure there's a fear there that, is that going to come back? Did I just put away 15 years, to just have to start all over? Exactly. I don't believe we'll have to start all over. I don't think any of us will, but it's not going to be okay, we're back to normal, let's go. Mm-hmm. It'll ramp back up. And I think in the long run, things will be better for sure. One of the other things is the pain of not being number one. Some people, that's all. I got to be the number one guy. I got to be the best. And I want to be as good as I can be. If somebody's better than me, that's fine too. So I think sometimes we think, that we beat ourselves up because we're not the number one, or we're not considered the number one. But always striving for that and always looking for that self-improvement, I think, is huge. As we know, very few people can honestly take positive experiences from a bad experience. Right. And a lot of people become bitter. Yeah. It's easy to become bitter and think, I'm jinxed, the world's against me. Of course, the whole world's in this mess, so I guess we can't really use that one, can we? No, not so much. Few people become better, and I want to help people find a way to become better through tough times. And I think of the 15 invaluable laws of growth, the law of pain is probably one of the ones I like to spend a lot of time in, especially right now. Oh yeah, certainly. When you're looking right now, we're all experiencing a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain in the world, and this is a great time to grow within yourself and come out on the other end of this thing stronger. For sure. Yeah, I think it always is amazing when you're talking about in this situation with pain and how people react to it. The people who will run from it, as you say, the people who will make excuses and that it's, woe is me, it's the world against me type. And then you have the people who will acknowledge it. And I don't want to maybe say the term, using the term embrace it, but they will acknowledge it, evaluate it, learn from it, and plot a path of growth or success out of it. Right. And that's the part that I think separates those who are going to be, just mediocre
the average and those who are going to excel at something, whether it's DJ or photo booth or whatever, any small business.
We have the Photo Booth Network on here as well.
Yes.
Okay, my apologies. I didn't mean to direct it to just DJs.
Yep, that's quite all right.
Business people in general.
Exactly, small business.
Yeah. Neil Donald Walsh said, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone." So,
and these are the times where it separates those people, but those people who can look at things and make those take the emotion out of situations sometimes, and to be able to evaluate and plot that course and have that vision of how we can come out of it, how I can grow myself, how I can grow my business, how I can help my family move beyond.
Right.
People who have that ability and who build those skills, because as you mentioned earlier, if you're not growing yourself, you're dying. I love the analogy that has been used talking about that of a shark. If a shark's not going forward and swimming, they're dead. That's how they survive. And if you we're all like that.
I hadn't heard that one. That's a great one.
Yeah, that's just a wonderful visual, because a shark can't breathe unless it's swimming. So it's got to keep moving. And if you're not moving, you're dying. And this is a great spot where that pain can kill you, not because of anything else, but it freezes you in place. And all of a sudden, you're not doing things you need to do to become successful. And then none of that really takes money.
Right. That's right. You're right. It doesn't take money. It takes a lot of introspect. And, I think that's what I like most about with the John Maxwell Group is not only do we talk about it, but we give you the tools to make those changes so that you can continue to grow and become, an even better leader. Mm-hmm. Is there a limit? Okay, well, I went to University of Leadership. All right, I'm at the top of the guru stand. I'm the top leader. Even John C. Maxwell himself says, I still got a lot to learn.
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing this game for, I think you said 50 years. And, for someone like him to say, I still got a lot to learn, it makes me feel better.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And he goes and he spends time talking to those within leadership positions and finding out more of, how they do things and what have you. And it's that continual growth. If you're not learning, you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, we just got to remember a bend in the road is not the end of the road.
Good. Yes. Very good.
Of course, unless you forget to make a turn, then it might not be so good for you. What happens rarely to us is rarely the end of the road. Just because it's happened. And I tell my guys this all the time. It's not just happening to us. This is happening to everyone.
Especially in this case, there's no
everyone. So if they kick you out of your apartment, they're going to kick everybody out of the apartment. They're just, here in Ohio, we've pretty much, I don't know what it's like in some of the other states that are listening. They've shut everything down here.
Yep, pretty much
you
across
can
the
go
board.
To the grocery store, drive through at the bank only, and then there's a few restaurants that are staying open to do takeout. Other than that, nothing's open. It's in a gas stations, of course. So it's pretty scary. You go out and there's nobody out. It's kind of like an Arby's commercial. Where is everybody? Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys have those Arby's commercials that are in Minnesota. But yeah, it's for sure. This is unlike anything we've ever experienced. And to me, it's a great opportunity for folks to stop, look within, and say, where can I improve as a person, as a business owner, as a leader? Because ultimately, if you own your own business, whether you like it or not, you're a leader.
Yep, that you are.
People look to business people to, we're what makes the world go around. It's truckers first, and then us. Truckers weren't still out there doing it, we'd really be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, we would be.
How are we doing on time?
We are good. Let's jump to, because you had a couple of spots you wanted to hit. So let's jump to the next one.
I had one other here, and let me get to that here. I messed up my notes. The law of the rubber band. Something to consider on that. Growth stops when you lose the tension between where you are and where you could be. So when you think about that, if you were to ask yourself a question, do you want to grow? How would you respond?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many guests, I don't know how many we have out there listening right now. How many of them would want to, would say, do you want to grow? How would they respond?
Yeah, and they're talking about it in the chat room right now on the different spots, and they're talking about the importance of always learning and being a student of life in essence.
Okay, great. That's good to hear. So I can't see the chat room.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't be able to see them. I can see. I've got them all. They all come to one spot on my computer here, so I can see. All the different ones.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, works
so
well.
But the truth of the matter is that for most of us, a lot of people like to avoid any form of pressure or change. Right now, we're in change mode. We're in major change mode. And that makes, for a lot of us that are go-getters, that have to get up every day, it has absolutely just, the hardest thing for me is not getting up and going out and doing something every day. It's been very hard because I like to feel like I've went out and accomplished something every day.
Right.
If I try to touch at least 10 people a day minimum. And when I do that, I find that it opens up a lot of doors. So that's kind of my daily thing. And it's been hard to do. So now I've done it through LinkedIn, social media has, and actually I've been able to get into some doors that way from people that wouldn't let me in the front door. I've been able to come in through the social media door and make some good contacts. Mm-hmm. I told you the story about all living things grow, and growth, it requires stretching. So you've got to stretch yourself. You've got to be willing to say, yes, I'm willing to take this step forward, and I'm willing to do those things that I really don't want to do and I don't really like to do. Now, I'm not saying spend all your time trying to do things you don't like to do, because you won't be productive. You want to spend most of your time on your strengths. But you will become stronger if you build yourself from within. So, taking that extra time at each morning or each afternoon, if you're like me in the DJ schedule, and reading that extra passage in a book, mm-hmm. Listening to those motivational CDs when you really don't want to hear it, or taking a special test that will help kind of let you see, here's where I need to grow. Here's where I'm strong. Here's where I'm weak. Normally this particular thing, if we were in a room, I would have rubber bands for everybody, and they would have rubber bands with a pin. One thing about a rubber band is it's not of any use for anything unless it's stretched. So I guess my comment would be to everybody is, you would not be where you are today if you had, if you didn't have some form of tension or stretching taking place in your life at some mm-hmm. point. So we've all kind of stretched ourselves out and made things happen to put us where we are today. Nobody here on the call today would be where they are without putting some stretching or tension or pressure on themselves to become better at something.
Right.
You just didn't wake up, put your headphones on at 5 years old and start DJing. You had to practice.
Yeah.
The nights or the weeks that you had several events with the photo booth, and you're on that last event of the week and your body's screaming at you and you're tired. You had to push yourself to set that thing up, get through the night, break it down, pack it up, take it home, pack it, put it away. That's not something you just start doing. Mm-hmm. It was a learning curve. The first person that got first time you get a photo booth, you don't just get it out and go, hey, all right, let's go. Mm-hmm. You got to spend hours and hours, setting it up, making it run. Oh, why is it doing that? Let me fix that. There's just, it's growth of life. It's growth of within yourself. And I think I'd love to just see where both these industries, especially, the photo booth, the DJ, the entertainment industry, where we would be if we could grasp and just grab a hold of these laws of self-improvement, growth, pushing ourselves past a point of, putting tension on ourselves mm-hmm. to become better, instead of just saying, oh, that was good enough and let's move forward.
And I think that's one of the negative parts of any industry, is that that the good enough mentality is there. We've got, all I do is I have to go and, rotate. My job is to rotate tires on a car. Well, it's good. And, I do that and it's good enough. And that's it. Whereas there's the little things that could be done to make it that you're able to do a better job and to elevate that. And so that the actual end product is better for the customer type of thing. But we just accept good enough. And if it's any entertainment, that, I just do this with the weddings and you know what? No one ever complains. So or they tell me I do a great job.
Yeah.
No, that's not the way it works. That you call it attention, but that little, that drive to know that there's more. I could be better. I could up my game. Randy Bartlett with his 1% solution. That's what the whole concept was behind, is making that, you can be better. So let's just make a little bit of a tweak.
Right.
And that will make you better. And then that becomes that tension. And sometimes it's, as you mentioned, taking you out of your comfort zone. There's the number of folks who are speaking at different events and doing, talking to their Chamber of Commerce over Zoom right now from the DJ industry. It's amazing as I'm hearing people who are like, yeah, I'm going to be addressing this group and I need to know how the software works. And I'm so excited. And, they're stepping out. They're going into that. They know that speaking in front of a group is going to help their business and it's going to help them as a presenter and as a communicator. Now they're stepping out. That tension's there. So now they can grow in that area. So it's something, I think everyone has to make that personal decision to say, you know what, I want to be that person that grows.
Yes. Yeah.
And unless you make
I agree.
that decision,
It's definitely a personal decision, but some people don't know how to start.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are, like yourself and myself, I believe I could get up and talk in front of people. I've done it most of my life. I mean, I was very involved in a ministry when I was young, so I spoke inside the church. So I've done a lot of public speaking, but excuse me. And I've been blessed to be able to be around a lot of leadership people in a lot of different industries. So I've learned a lot, and I want to be able to give that back inside our community here. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my goal is really just to open people's eyes to the 15 laws, or at least right now what I'm focusing on is the 15 invaluable laws of growth. I've got about 7 or 8 different courses that I teach within John Maxwell, and I've thought about doing something on a national scale through the video. Mm-hmm. If people are like me, I don't always have a lot of time to get up, drive to an event, be there for an hour and a half, drive home. That's 2 or 3 hours out of my day. But I might have 30 minutes that I can sit and take in, something and learn from that. Mm-hmm. So, that's something I gave you, I think, my page information.
Yep, I put that up there in the description. Yep.
So I'd like to do that, and then maybe, bring it to one of the shows one year and just share it with people. And just, I would just love to see the growth of people within this industry, because I just think we have so many great people who really care about people.
Right.
I would say when you talk to most DJs, the reason they do what they do is they love to see people have a good time. Mm-hmm. And when you get to share in the most special occasions of people's lives, we have the best job in the world. And so that, if I can help folks become a better who they are now and help them improve, and so that 5 years from now, they look back and go, man, I can't believe how much I've changed as a person over these last 5 years because I invested in myself. Instead of always investing in the equipment, invest in yourself. Yeah. Do it for a couple of years and see if you don't see anything different, then walk away from it. But I think people are going to be surprised with a little bit of time invested in who they are and who they want to become. It's endless. Mm-hmm. And the returns are going to be just more than you can imagine. David Godine claims that 30% of the U.S. population has not ever been in a bookstore. And that's amazing to me. There's so much that you can, if you're willing to read, learn, and grow, there is so much to learn about anything. And you have no reason nowadays, you don't even have to go to a bookstore. Everything's on the internet.
Yep.
Audible. There's so many things on Audible. So ask yourself, when was the last time I learned something new? Settling for status quo, and I think we've already touched on that. Some people are just satisfied. Hey, it's the way things. This is how I do it. It works fine, and let's let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Look outside that comfort zone. What more can you do? Have you ever seen anybody else perform that you thought, boy, I'm really having a good time, and stopped and thought, what are they doing? I'm an entertainer, and they're entertaining me. What are they doing? And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be how they interact with the crowd on the microphone. It really is. That microphone is probably the strongest tool DJs have besides music. And sadly, some people, like you said, they're not comfortable stepping out and doing that. And I love Randy. I've got his 1%. I love his stuff, and he's a very good guy.
Yeah.
And did you see where he just gave away the last of his 1%?
Yep. We kind of worked with him over that weekend with doing that. So yeah.
Looks like I don't know how many sent out, but there was a lot in that.
There was a stack. Yeah, that was
One thing I want everybody to remember is nobody's going to remember average people. They're not going to remember average people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got to stand out, and to do that, it takes some courage. Push yourself outside of that comfort zone. And these are the things that we're going to help you with, and tools that we can provide to help folks grow that courage, grow that self-discipline, grow that self-image
mm-hmm.
to a point where you can become everything that you're supposed to become, because there's just so much still waiting to get out of all of us. And I hope me too. I continue to grow every day. And just like I talked before, stretching is an inside job. You've got to stretch everything on the inside, your brain, your heart. And that just comes through learning. When your thoughts become words, and then your words become actions, that makes a big difference. James Allen says you cannot travel within and still stand still. You cannot travel within and still stand without. Stand still without.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. You cannot travel within and stand still outside of yourself. I'll break that down. It kind of didn't make sense. If you think about it, all life except mankind grows to its full potential. It's only we as mankind that we try to circumvent the process. Trees grow and grow and grow. But at some point we become comfortable or afraid to take that extra step and change ourselves.
We become.
One thing about improvement and self-stretching, it requires change. And instead of being afraid of change, embrace it. Embrace the change, because Lord knows there's enough of that in our industry.
Yeah, there is. Across the business world right now, for sure, boy.
Yeah, that's across the world right now. Who knows,
mm-hmm.
Where we're going to be at on the other side of this epidemic. How it's going to change our life. It's going to change. Things are going to be different.
Yeah.
And we might as well kind of learn to accept that and adapt and grow with it. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, for those who are, maybe somebody wants to kind of start digging into some of the John Maxwell literature that's out there. Are there any of the books then that you kind of recommend them to get an idea or to get going on some of the thought processes that John teaches?
Yeah. If they look at I've got some of the main books on my page, my John Maxwell page. I would highly recommend those. There's another one I believe that he wrote. What's it called? Just off the top of my head.
Do I have it here? I gotta grab
the Leader Within.
Yes. Yeah.
The Leader Within. That would be a great one. I would highly recommend The Leader Within. And the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. I think if you're wanting to kind of start and become a leader, if you don't feel like, well, maybe I'm not a leader, but I'd like to be a leader, a good place to start is the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. This is going to kind of tell you and help you find your way on how to grow to become a leader. And then once you feel that you are becoming a leader, the Leader Within is a great one to follow up after that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what for those first 2 books, I would go from there. And then after that, you're going to find that a lot of his philosophies are the same throughout.
Yeah.
He kind of continues to
Develop
repeat
those
himself a lot, which is good.
He's developing those concepts a little bit more, digging into it.
Yes, giving you different ways to think about it, different ways to remember it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but those two books I would definitely recommend are extremely good. And if you would like to go through, what I'd like to do is I'm going to do a 10-week course on the 15 invaluable laws of growth, and there'll be about 30 to 45 minutes each week. And I'm going to be starting that in the coming next month or so, and it'll all be via Zoom. If people want information on that, they can go to my website and put in for the information.
Excellent. And that link is down in the description below. You guys can go out to Alan's page, which is johncmaxwellgroup.com/Alan Walker. You guys can, again, get that down in the description of the video.
All right.
Excellent. Excellent.
I appreciate you having me today, John.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. It's good chatting and digging into a few thoughts and such that will help people not only in their business, but their personal lives and their community. Really, it just is a benefit across the board. So,
well, as you know, John's written a whole lot of books. So if there's anything else you ever want to touch on in the future, let me know. I'd be more than happy to come back on.
That sounds great. Gang, we're going to take about a 15-minute break, or give or take, and we'll be back here at the top of the hour. We've got Howie Darkstar. He's going to be coming in. We're going to be talking about some backups and just a lot of technical stuff that Howie likes to dive into. So, Alan, once again, thanks for being with me this evening. Bye-bye.